Hello and welcome back to another insightful episode of MedSynapse podcast series. I'm your host, Hetvi Shah, and today we are diving into something that affects every one of us, yet we rarely talk about it, which is sleep. It's more than just rest, it's recovery, it's regulation, and when it's disrupted, it can ripple across every aspect of our health. And joining us to explore the silent epidemic of sleep disorders and that profound health impact is someone who is truly leading the conversation. Dr. Himanshu Garg. He's renowned respiratory and sleep physician currently heading the Gold Coast Lung and Sleep Clinic in Australia. But his impact spans beyond borders, having set up pioneering sleep medicine services at Medenta and Artemis Hospital in India. And as the founder president of Southeast Asian Academy of Sleep Medicine, he's been instrumental in shaping sleep medicine across the region. So, Dr. Garg, it is such a pleasure to have you with us and welcome to the podcast.
It's my pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Doctor, you have had such a dynamic journey across continents, building sleep medicine services from the ground up. Could you take us back to the beginning? What actually sparked your interest in sleep health, and why do you believe it is such an essential yet overlooked component of our well-being?
Yeah, I think it's a broad question. So, firstly, what sparked my interest? So, I trained as a respiratory physician in India. So sleep medicine is now linked with respiratory medicine. Although you in India you get a very little sort of a glimpse of it. I mean, I would sort of always been fascinated about the aspects of sleep. So, when I went to Australia straight after my postgraduate training in respiratory, so I got a job. I think part of the deal of the job was that I was going to treat some tuberculosis immigrants for them, and then they were going to teach me sleep. So there was a deal that I cut out with the hospital. I didn't realize it was actually Dr. David Cunnington, who's one of the pioneers of sleep medicine, who was my trainer. Who then became my lifelong mentor. So he had such a profound impact on me that sort of he converted me from a mainly respiratory to a mainly sleep physician. So I think it was also my fascination for it. It is its interaction with different other aspects of health rather than just being an isolated respiratory thing. And that we are still learning. It is a journey that we are still learning about sleep, different aspects. It is getting impacted by technology. So it's all very fascinating unraveling of these mysteries, even for yourself as a person, I think. So that was what I think I did. And then, of course, when I got into it, it was also an opportunity for me to help others to develop, to share knowledge, and to do some pioneering work, at least in this region. I think that is what got me interested. It is really, sleep, as you look at it, as you said, it is something that we all do without even realizing that what importance does it hold in our lives, what impacts can this have. So I think there is such a lack of understanding of this, and the impact, especially as people are living longer. We have now overcome some of the other infectious diseases, and then we are dealing now with more lifestyle related problems. So I think there is the sleep is, to my mind, central to managing your overall health and well-being.
Very rightly said, it is actually essential to managing entire well-being, and I think your passion it really shines through your work also. So now sleep disorders are often referred to as the silent epidemic, and it affects millions, yet it is hiding in plain sight. So from your experience, how widespread are these issues, and which conditions do you feel are most commonly underdiagnosed?
So I think, yeah, sleep is the elephant in the room, I think, which nobody says. It is. I think it stems from our thinking around sleep, which had been mostly, especially with the Western medicine, the previous generation of, say, Ayurveda and the traditional medicine systems had actually paid more importance to sleep than the Western medicine did till recently. So because it was thought to be a passive process, it was not thought to be an active process. Once you're asleep, what is there to think about? Whereas now we understand, like, all of us use our mobiles, that, if you don't charge your mobile in the night, how are you going to function in the day? So it's very much like that process. To put it very simply, it is just like getting your body ready for the day and functioning. And it is that piece of the puzzle. Then that's why I said it is central to the health and well-being. Think about a couple of days when you did not sleep well, and think about your performance, your productivity, your mood the next day. So it is central to managing a lot of these lifestyle related disorders that we are facing now. And the reason I think we're not focused as much is because of the thinking of that to be a passive process, and then we were more focusing on the active part of life. And as our understanding of sleep improves, I think we are getting better with focusing on it, managing it. I get now all the referrals from cardiologists who are trying to manage their cardiac issues, cardiac arrhythmias, and they think managing sleep apnea is important. I get referrals from the diabetologists and endocrinologists who are trying to manage their diabetes, and they think, oh, why don't you see? And urologists who can't get patients well with the dysuria and the night frequency of so all sorts of specialties. And of course, we are facing the epidemic of mental health. We are just not winning, despite putting a lot of money into it all around the world, especially in the West. So I think a lot of that, as I always say, this is one piece of the puzzle in managing anybody's health.
Right, right, actually. And I think the word silent really fits here, and it's so something we just misdiagnose, or we just miss out also sometimes.
Sometime back, we had made this slogan, snoring the silent killer.
Yeah, that actually fits really well here. So, Doctor, now, let's talk about the ripple effect. We are seeing more and more data linking, poor sleep to hypertension, diabetes. Even you mentioned that even experts are redirecting to you. So, even depression. So, can you walk us through how disrupted sleep contributes to these chronic conditions?
So I think sleep is a very restful phase of life, which is more the
Mhm.
parasympathetic, sort of zone that we are in. Our brain is relaxed, and then we have the memory consolidation. And sleep is like an orchestra, as I always say, that
Mhm.
you have different notes which are played out, and you move from one note to the other note. And it's all, if it is all very well designed. Everything has to follow a certain thing. REM sleep, or the dreaming sleep, non-dreaming sleep. And then we move from stage one to stage three, stage two, stage three. So throughout the night, we are kind of moving. It is not a unitary phenomenon, as one might think. It is a kind of a very dynamic process. Each stage of sleep, for example, we think about the dreaming sleep as a REM sleep, or the rapid eye movement. The way the when we are in the REM sleep or the rapid eye movement, our eyes are flickering for whatever reason. Our brain is active. We are processing. I mean, the memories are going around. And we're thinking about dreams. So think about today, if you were to narrate an accident, you would tell your friend, oh, I was going there, I saw that, I witnessed that. And if you were to narrate the same instance in, say, a few weeks, you'll only remember the most important bits of it. So at some stage your memory, you has zipped it, which means it is just kind of retained the most important bits, and it has got rid of the accessories parts of it. So we think that, say, REM sleep or the rapid eye movement sleep is the seat of learning, and that's where it all happens. And that's how we're trying to now define different purposes of different stages of sleep. And we also know from the evolutionary history, the mammals which are smarter have more REM sleep, and so as all these stages, as the clarity around the functions of sleep, and as we think, so are we understanding its relationship with different disorders. So rapid eye movement is when the most asynchrony happens. That's why when all the arrhythmias happen. And if you have distorted, sleep has an architecture. If you have a distorted sleep architecture, for example, with sleep apnea meaning it's almost like somebody's throttling you, and then you have a fear response or a sympathetic drive for a few seconds, and that then is a fear response. You have a high sympathetic drive. It can cause arrhythmias, it can increase your blood sugar levels, and it can then distort the normal circadian rhythm of the different hormones being secreted. So if your sleep is getting disrupted, it distorts the architecture of the sleep. It may lead to the oxygen getting low, and that also then doesn't let the orchestra's note to follow. So lots of things can happen in sleep, leading to a number of consequences in sleep, and a lot of that is now getting well elaborated, and we can now understand these relationships better.
Yeah, I think it's so incredible to know how actually interconnected everything is, and yet we often treat these in, silos also
Yeah.
sometimes. So it's really interesting.
Amazing that I still see that lots of patients I see, even last week, there's a patient who was obese. He had
Mm.
high blood cholesterol, then he had a heart attack, he got treated for heart attack, then he had a stroke, he got treated for stroke, then he was having a lot of you know, going maturation in the night, he was treated for that, and somebody thought about sleep apnea. Finally, that was, I think, to my mind, very central piece of it. So it still happens around the world, I think, to some extent. There is more awareness in the West than it is in this region.
Yeah,
So
true. So now, doctor, what's also interesting is that patients often don't bring up their, sleep concern unless asked. So for our medical audience, what are some subtle signs or red flags that GPs and specialists should look out for that might point to an underlying sleep disorder?
I think a lot of it stems also from the way we have approached the patient histories. Yeah. So it's just the conditioning that, if somebody comes to you with a problem, you're not trying to ask them about their sleep. It is just also the way I think our examination, our systems have evolved where
Yeah.
in India, there's this whole thing about wellness checks. They have all the hospitals are big wellness, diamond, silver, or whatever they want to call them, very expensive sort of tests, but nobody asks them about sleep. So in this, they'll check your, proactively check all your, do a calcium score, do your eye check, do you. But we went through this exercise recently. We said nobody's really asking you, which is very central to managing your future risk. So it's also the conditioning, I think, over these years where the way we have evolved medicine, where nobody's really worried about your sleep. If we had sensitized our patients better, they'd be bringing up those issues. And often these are hard things to fix. For example, insomnia, the GPs fear insomnia because it's not easy to fix. So that also, to my mind, is the reason that patients are not that forthcoming with these problems. They're not bringing them up. The doctors are not proactively asking them. But I think it's somebody really, one of the largest providers just asked me one day, oh, just tell me, how do we diagnose to sleep apnea? Just tell me a few. I said it's the simplest thing to suspect. You don't really, you just ask them if somebody's got snoring, if you've got daytime fatigue, and if you've got a few other things. Just so sleep, how difficult is it to get a history of insomnia? That is all there up in the face. They will tell you everything about your sleep. Oh, I can't sleep well. It just takes a few seconds, a few questions, but I think we have to be a bit more open. And I see that there is a resistance to getting in there, because there is that's a difficult territory to fix, and then you don't want to give them sedatives. You don't want to get that headache of solving that problem, which to my mind has been the major barrier.
Correct, correct. And I think these simple cues can actually sometimes change how clinicians screen patients also. So every clinician can incorporate this right away. Now, doctor, let's shift gears to something more tech forward with digital health tools and wearables booming. How do you see their role in diagnosing or managing sleep disorders evolving in the near future?
I think it's fascinating. Sleep, for one thing, it is on the cutting edge. So, of course, it also gets disrupted very, very quickly with the technology. So there used to be a time when you would remember people would go to sleep labs, go there, sleep there, have big sort of gears attached to getting sleep apnea diagnosis. No longer, you can wear a ring, you can have something under your mattress, you can, there are such simple tools which have really helped us at least diagnosing sleep apnea, for example. There are tools for managing insomnia. So and that's, I think, the fascinating bit. If for the younger audience, if they are interested, this is the one specialty which is heavily impacted by technology, the changes in technology every few years. So So for one, I think we have become much smarter. The things that technology has really allowed us to monitor sleep much easily than it was, to understand sleep better, with the AI tools that we're trying to see now. Of course, our understanding, as I said, the orchestra notes, the REM, non-REM sleep was all there. Is there something more to sleep in terms of, so there are the REM density, the spindle density, and, why the sleep is such a variable thing. And we have data now across millions of sleep nights across patients. And I think a lot of AI tools have been used to analyze that. And I think it's one thing is for sure that our ability to monitor sleep is now very, very good. It is simple. You don't no longer have to fear that. The reason the sleep, I think one of the reasons the sleep also took time is because our technologies were very primitive. It was really hard to get a sleep study or to wear so much. It was fearful, but that it has really changed. So it will surely also translate into providing simpler solutions. It is again the CPAP, the most commonly used tool for sleep apnea. Maybe we'll have something smarter very soon with the technology coming in. So huge impact of technology. Also, I think my word of caution here, and I'm starting to see this, another which people come to me at times, they saying, "Oh, we're not sleeping well," and why do you say so? I mean, because my watch is telling me. But are you functioning okay? I'm functioning fine, but I not getting the 8 hours sleep. My watch is saying that. So it is also creating, I think, a little bit of a overstimulation about it, and hope it doesn't create an unnecessary panic. And we are a bit cautious about the role of technology here. Sleep is a very peaceful process, and has its own sanctity. The gadgets and of course, it's been impacted by social media, but I hope it doesn't, go haywire.
So I think it's exciting to, how see and think how sleep medicine is becoming more accessible, and I think it's really necessary also these days. So now, doctor, before we wrap up, for patients out there struggling with sleep is in this always on screen filled world. So what are your top practical tips or behavioral strategies for better sleep hygiene?
Yeah, I think it is very, very important these days when you have so many things to do, and especially in this region, I see, and I think the sleep hygiene is better in the Western world traditionally, but India has its own culture of dincharya, which is all defined.
Mm.
Ratricharya also is good habits around sleep. These are all. So I think very simple things which are kind of intuitive, that you should have a fixed sleeping time, fixed wake up time. The time between your last meal and the time you go to bed should be at least 3 hours. The bedroom environment, to the extent possible, should not be too hot, and it's quite hot here, so you have to make sure, if you can, that it will disturb your sleep. Hot, the cold environment is better for sleep. It should be dark, quiet, fixed sleeping time, fixed wake up time. I am in this city of Gurgaon. If you have been here, it's a city of alcohol vents. So much alcohol is consumed in the city. I can't just imagine. So it's just, I think, again, those things, alcohol has a very complex relationship with sleep, and you can't use it as a sedative. Have a problem, you need to consult people. So I think, just very simple things: 8 hours of sleep, if possible. People travel long distances, and then they eat very late, and they sleep very late. All that impacts your sleep, and that, I hope, doesn't translate into a health cost. So I think very, very important, especially for our region in India, our
Mm.
youngsters, who then come and scroll. So I think the sanctity of the bedroom should be maintained. There is a sanctity of the bedroom. If you don't respect that, there'll be consequences, which means no TV, clock, mobiles in the bedroom. The boundaries of the bedroom have to be, you're only going there to sleep. So if you don't respect those, not to watch TV or to eat or to scroll, because if you start distorting those boundaries, I think it starts impact your sleep.
Yeah, that's so true. I think and be simple, actionable, and so I think this is so needed in today's chaotic lifestyle also among youngsters. So really interesting to know those tips. So, Doctor, as we wrap up today's session, thank you so much for this insightful conversation. And actually, you have helped us better understand that Not just the science of sleep, but also the urgency of addressing it as a core pillar of health. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, it's a reminder that don't let the silent epidemic get unnoticed. And remember, if you're a healthcare professional who's eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, do not hesitate to join us on the MedSynapse platform. MedSynapse platform is not just a resource, it's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing evolution of healthcare. Until next time, sleep well, stay curious, and keep questioning what keeps you healthy.